Hi there, and welcome to episode 138 of the ADHD Adults podcast. I got through an opening line. Nobody interrupted. This is clearly what I have to do in the future. Anyway, What?
Ruined it for himself.
You interrupted me. Exactly. You didn't interrupt me by jumping up with your t-shirt, and Alex didn't say something halfway through. But now, obviously, as usual, we've had to dissect it. We've spent, instead of one sentence, about 6 sentences just celebrating the fact that I got through the intro. Anyway,
you brought it up.
You did, yeah.
Fuck me. Why do I do this? I'm James Brown, the man who talks about Vimeo like he knows what it is. And I'm joined by Dr. Alex Connor, who thought Vimeo was one of the 2 gentlemen of Verona, and also the woman who thought it was Vimto, Mrs ADHD. Alex, hi.
Oh, we're still doing Fridays in season 2 then, are we? That's the thing that's happening still?
Kind of. Yeah, sort of. This one, obviously, by the
not always.
Skin of its teeth. Sam, hi.
Hi.
Excellent.
Thanks. Yeah, short and sweet. A reminder that we started this podcast, if you're just catching up from season 1, that because James wanted to count metrics of listeners all day, like the sad, lonely Sesame Street Dracula that he is.
That's better.
But now we do a second episode a week, sort of, sometimes. Because one of the people at Sam's private school that she went to has a son who's doing an unpaid metrics internship with us. Hi, Tarquin. Sam says, well, but if she hasn't already interrupted to tell me that she didn't, in fact, go to private school, I'll be
I don't think I need to explain that, do I?
No, nobody thought that was that.
I don't think anybody.
I mean, you did do Latin, though, obviously. Anyway,
I did do Latin.
This film starring Gerard Butler of a podcast is also a tragedy in 3 parts. We'll discuss not how the 6 weeks between podcasts has been.
What's wrong with Gerard Butler?
Just the films he's in a shit.
Yeah, awful.
Have you seen the films he's in?
I think he is.
No,
it's really hard to answer that.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't his mouth a bit funny? I like people with funny mouths.
That's Rio Ferdinand you're thinking of.
Oh no, am I thinking of Gerard Depardieu?
But I don't know. I don't
think I know Gerard Butler.
No.
Carry on.
Should we? Yeah, good. Thank you. We'll discuss how the week between podcasts has been, from blah blah blah, answer questions, blah blah blah. This week's podcast theme, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, why we chose it. So as always, I'll ask you how your week was, and nobody will ask me. Sam, how's your week been?
Shit.
Thanks very much.
Expand.
Well, I've been ill most of the week, and lots has been going on, which has been a lot to deal with. And you've been ill too. It's been awful. It's been an awful week. How about you, James?
I feel this bit good time to ask me how my week was, seeing as it was excellent, because I spent quite a lot of it with Sam.
Was. You didn't spend a lot of it with me. You spent one night and then didn't even acknowledge you spent a night with me.
Don't know how.
Just put on Instagram. I had a great time at Frankie Boyle. He spoke to me.
Before we get to either my week or Alex's, I think I need to point this out because I'm very fucking annoyed that I have 3 comedy heroes, and 2 of those are Jim Jeffries and Frankie Boyle. And obviously, the time I met Jim Jeffries, he was a complete cunt, pushing me in the chest out of the way so he could have his picture taken with Sam. Now, for her birthday, Sam bought a ticket to be in the front row to see Frankie Boyle. Again, one of my 3 comedy heroes. I was double booked because I had the online course. He took Alex, and he fucking had a chat with you and talked about the podcast. So now my 2 experiences with 2 of my comedy heroes have been utterly fucking shite.
He did, but Sam managed
a nice
to humiliate
little ambassador lounge as well, which was lovely.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely, Sam.
I didn't intentionally humiliate you.
No, I know it wasn't intentional.
Went, no.
Yeah, I mean, incredibly loud and incredibly quickly. So much so that he said, yeah, clearly. In fact, he said, you answered that bit fucking quick, and everyone laughed at me. Everyone.
I wondered why I could feel you looking at me for ages, and I thought, what is wrong with him? He knows we're not together. Is this a surprise?
Facts.
I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand why you were staring at me. I thought, but we're not together. Why is he staring at me?
Oh, James, you should have been there. It's brilliant.
You bastard. I mean, in the interest of the first part.
Yeah, how's your week, James?
I thought we were doing Alex. We're doing me. Okay, yes, also will. Sam became ill, and Sam doesn't normally get ill, and I obviously was. I'm fine. I've done this before. I've got the constitution of an ox. I'm going to be fine. And then the next morning, having already had a migraine earlier in the week, woke up thinking, "Oh God, not another migraine." But no, it wasn't. It was a really nasty vomiting bug. And to be fair to Sam, even though she was ill, she tried to look after me. She did bring me drinks, didn't you, Sam? They weren't potable drinks in that she added so much squash to them that they made me nearly vomit. But she tried, which was nice. Other than that, I've been fucking behind on the online course that I'm doing because obviously I've been ill all the time. But I also had my 12-month psychiatric review, which was interesting because I didn't realize once you're discharged from the provider who I got my assessment with, I have to pay for my annual review. And the psychiatrist was very good. And he said, has to be referred back by right to choose because you shouldn't be paying £180 to have your 12-month review. But I didn't know this. Nobody told me this. So anyone out there that has gone through right to choose to get your assessment, when it comes to your annual review, you might have to pay for it unless you get re-referred for the care to be annually provided by them, which interested me. Alex, how's your week been?
Good, yeah. As you know, James, enjoying my men's village ballet dance group that I'm in.
I can't believe you admitted that to me on WhatsApp. Please explain.
It's not even ballet, James.
No, it's not really. It's more of a form of street dance, I guess.
I don't know why they call themselves ballet.
I know. Yeah,
it's really confusing.
It is. That's the only bit of this that needs clarifying.
To me,
there was street dance is worse in a way or better. I think better for me.
Interpretive.
Personally.
Was it interpretive street dance?
Oh, sort of. Yeah, I guess it is.
This is manna from heaven for me.
Yeah. I got a text from the village people, the men in the village, asking if I'll do it. So I said yes, and then we halfway through the first practice, I said, "What's it for?" And apparently, so it's for Carnival or the Mardi Gras equivalent. It's called Fasching in Germany, but they found it inordinately funny that I just said yes and turned up dancing without knowing about this. So obviously, I just turned up and said yes, not knowing it was an organised thing. So there's something not right there. But it's a lot of fun. Yeah, good. Frankie Boyle was embarrassing.
I don't know what wasn't right.
That you would just say yes to a dance group without knowing that it was, for a thing.
Yeah, that's
like
not
a kind of joke, I guess.
It's not normal, is it?
Yeah, you would.
Yeah. I'm probably the wrong judge of what normal is, to be honest.
Probably doing an awful lot of heavy lifting there, Sam.
Yes.
Anyway,
moving on.
I feel like this is taking too long. Yeah, well, Alex does it.
Yeah. I'm waiting for all of you to shut the fuck up so I can say the next sentence. I don't know if that's going to happen or. And a pregnant pause. So, as always, in season 1, as we used to do on a Friday, Sam, what stupid thing have you been doing this week? Coughing and being sick, in your case, that you, instead of doing what you were supposed to be doing, straight to James.
Oh, wordscapes, all day wordscapes. It is my little bit of dopamine. It's the shit game that I hate playing, but equally it quietens my brain. And when I was writing on a Sunday, I was trying to make sure I stayed 2 weeks ahead of the online course that I'm writing. So I had a plan. Sam was seeing families. So right, okay, I'm going to absolutely nail wherever it was, week 3 of the course. But I played wordscapes for 6 hours instead because I was number 1 for a bit in the way in which it works, and in the end I didn't get number 1, I got number 2 after 6 hours of playing wordscapes. Fucking hell, ridiculous.
You're a massive number 2.
Yep.
What about
Sam,
you?
What about you?
Oh, forgotten how to do it.
We have.
Sam, what stupid thing have you been doing that you're supposed to be doing something else for?
Well, I haven't really done a lot this week because I've been ill, and I can't tell you all the things I've done since the last. I can't do all the week since we last spoke.
No, I mean, we can talk.
Take too long.
Velvetizing is one thing you've been a bit hyper focused on, isn't it, Sam?
What do you mean?
For her birthday,
I had a velvetizer for my birthday, and I'm still feeling really ill now, and I was still feeling really ill yesterday. But I really wanted to use my velvetizer, and I kept having it, and then it'd make me feel really sick afterwards. So I shouldn't have been doing that. Really,
it's a hot chocolate making
Hotel
machine.
Chocolat.
Thank God for that. I thought it was turning whatever fabric velvet is into velvet. And as we all know,
it's already velvet.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it cotton? Is it brushed cotton? Something like I'm out of my depth.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm out of my depth too. But yeah, I suppose the only thing I'm always doing all the time is editing ADHD Towers instead of spending time with James.
I know, but
yeah,
that's just a constant. What about you, Alex?
So, as you know, I don't play games, James, because I lose all those. I'm very addicted to stuff, mainly booze, but also games. And then I downloaded a game to my computer. What did you say, Sam? What was the...
Amazing. She's come up with something 3 minutes later.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Whilst...
Yeah. I'll wait until you've finished.
Well, could have done.
I'm sorry, I've got ADHD.
I know, yes. I like it.
No.
I really want to say that text that Sam sent me that made me laugh both of us laughed so hard yesterday, but it's slightly offensive and I don't know whether I can say it. But when you called me, you said somebody was an alcoholic, but a real one, not a pretend one like you. And it was on purpose, but I've been laughing about it ever since because it's kind of accurate. That's what it works so well.
I know, that's why it's funny.
It really, really does. It's still making me giggle. But I downloaded the game, James, and then lost 3 hours and I felt sick. And it was the worst thing. I hate computer games, but, you know, in the same way that I hate alcohol. Nom.
Yeah, same. I remembered that yesterday I should have been. Was it yesterday? Was it my birthday yesterday?
Yeah.
No, not yesterday. I should have been in London with James celebrating my birthday, but instead I was ill all day. So that's one thing I should have been doing instead of what I was. And I should have been at work all week, but I've been off sick all week, feeling shit.
That is rubbish.
So that's one. Okay. Carry on. Oh, yeah, we can't. Thanks for that, both. We're taking a break and we'll be back in part 2 with questions and thoughts from the ADHD adults community. Submit on the forms on the website. I'm going to stop now. Why am I talking?
No, Friday really boosts our ratings, James, doesn't it?
It really does. Long trumpet.
Welcome back to episode 138 of the ADHD Adults, the very first ever Friday episode of season 2. And as always, we're taking questions from the community. Sam expertly read out the name of the form on the website you have to comment on at the end of part 1. So I don't need to do that again. Well, does anybody know what the website is? Is it the ADHD Adults?
Yes.
.uk.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
You ready for the first question? First one. Hi, hope you're all well. They're not, those two aren't, but then they're moaners. Sorry, guys. I wondered from that was me, not the letter. I wondered from your long list of podcasts if you touch on alternative remedies for those of us still in the queue waiting for an official diagnosis, please. What are your thoughts on focus patches, tablets? It's from Tracy, thank you. James.
Thank you. We've been asked this a few times and people have suggested this topic. The issue is, and we have actually touched on alternative therapies. We've talked about psychedelics. We've talked about cannabis and we've talked about exercise. You could argue that they are alternative remedies.
And
problem is, and caffeine, The problem is that as an evidence-based podcast, it's difficult to do an episode on something where there isn't any evidence. And for a lot of the stuff that is being sold, a lot of stuff that's being talked about on Reddit and Facebook groups, there isn't evidence. So if you look at the traditional supplements that people would try, like omega-3 fish oils, for example, the evidence is it's all over the place, and most of it's in children. So a lot of the stuff that people are trying because they're desperate, a lot of the stuff that people are selling because they know people are desperate, there's no evidence it will work. Now, human response to any intervention is complicated. There are responders, non-responders, hyper-responders. There's the placebo effect. There's the nocebo effect. So it could be that you take something and you find that you feel your focus is better. And that could be because it's worked. It could be because you're going through a ritual. It's really hard to say. So there isn't enough scientific evidence to really do an episode on some of the alternative remedies that are out there, other than to say to people, you just need to be a little bit cynical when you're buying them, because often these adverts say this will give you focus, this will help your ADHD, and there's no evidence that it will.
No.
Alex?
It's very good. Yeah. So the term alternative therapy, I think, was it? Tim Minchin said that there's a word for alternative therapies that work with evidence, and that's therapies. So we use the word adjunct treatment for things that there's some evidence that they work that aren't just stimulant medication. And so that would include good sleep hygiene, exercise, ADHD informed CBT for some people, possibly coaching. I think that that's true in my experience, but the evidence is weak. I think, as James said, if it works for you individually, then you might be an outlier. You know, that's just keep going as long as it's healthy. But the most important factor is, as James said, there's no evidence for any nutritional supplement that works for ADHD people across the board. And worse than that, they can build up dangerously in your system and they can affect your meds. So no changes to your diet without talking to your doctor, please, because it can be negative. That's the most two important things. Sam?
Yeah, I think what you've both just said, and we get lots of people that write into the charity asking about this, and we always say, listen, it works for some people anecdotally. So if it doesn't cost a lot and you want to try it, but do as you would with medication, note your side effects, note any positive benefits, and bear in mind any interactions with the medication that you're taking as well. We also get quite a few people commenting and writing in saying stop promoting meth and speed. They're talking about the pharmaceutical medication. Stop promoting it because we should use alternative remedies. But the evidence is there to say that for 70% of people, or is it 80%? It works, and we are an evidence-based podcast, and the same with the charity. So we've got to go with the evidence, and it doesn't mean that alternative therapies don't work. There might be, if they put a lot of money into it, there might be some evidence that they do, but we haven't got that evidence, and we've got to go with the evidence that we've got. Apart
from turmeric, which objectively does work. On an unrelated note, I'm heavily funded by turmeric.
Anyway,
right. Yeah, I think we've dealt with that, I guess. So the second question, which is from Rainbow Langdale Smith, what an amazing name, is please explore cutting-edge findings like creatine as a neurotransmitter. Just saw about it. If there was room in the extra episode, a short part on horizon scanning, blur business term, or similar would be awesome. Love to you all. It's a good point, actually. I think we probably should do, and it's something I've been thinking about through kind of my own social media, to have like a research post day. And there are new findings coming out. I mean, I have a little reminder every day. If something gets published on ADHD, I get to read it, and I'll send Alex papers. And a lot of the time, they're not good science, because most science isn't good. It's a low sample size, 50 people or 20 people. Creatine is interesting, because there is some evidence that creatine supplementation can improve brain function, possibly because creatine phosphate is a source of energy in muscle cells more classically, but possibly also in brain cells, although the metabolism of brain cells is slightly different because the neurons don't use glucose. They need astrocytes to convert glucose into lactate and then shuttle it, and it's getting a bit sciencey now. And there is emerging evidence that creatine might act as a neurotransmitter. I think the key thing is, for this particular subject, it's not as simple as dopamine, because it's possible that there could be dozens of neurotransmitters involved. There's evidence that glutamate, obviously, dopamine and noradrenaline and others don't work in the same way. But as an idea, kind of bigger new papers, I'm up for that.
I think it's a brilliant idea, Rainbow. It's really good, because we want to talk about evidence-based, but there are things before the research that we're allowed to talk about. I really like it. I also think we could come up with an even wankier term than horizon scanning. We should work quite hard on that. Put that on the socials. I think it's a really good idea. Bugger. My ADHD brain's gone because I didn't write down the thing.
See, and so, Sam.
I don't know anything about horizon scanning, but I do take creatine every day, and I didn't know that it might have any benefit. I mean, I don't know if it was with me. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, she has got massive biceps, so clearly it helps for
terrifying.
It helps for that, yeah. I don't know if it's helping my brain function, but it's definitely helping my biceps. Okay, question 3 is from Helen, and it says, this may have been raised already, but I'd really like to suggest this. I really struggle with basic self-care and wondered if this is my ADHD or autism or neither. I also have DCD and dyslexia. Are there strategies or tips to remind me what to do? I have found the little kid ones, but as I'm 41, they don't feel relevant. And that's from Helen. Thank you, Helen. Both autistic people and people with ADHD struggle with executive functions, don't we? And routines as well, particularly if you've got ADHD. It's a real struggle to keep a routine. James, any tips?
It's that word. That's the key, is routine. Because I think the really powerful bit in Helen's messages, I found little kid ones, and it can be shameful when you're not brushing your teeth and you're not showering regularly and you're not, doing the very basic things that adults do. But that's because of our brains. And a lot of people I coach about routine, and it's about trying to build habits and turn those habits into routines. And the way to start is to think about what would I like my self-care routine to look like ideally, and then to build just step by step towards that, one step at a time. So if it's I want to brush my teeth once a day, think of how you can have a system of reminding yourself to do that, because you'll forget. Now, whether or not that's a smart speaker that says 6 times brush your teeth, whether it's something on your mirror where you have to see it that tells you to do that, whether it's having duplicating toothbrushes and toothpaste in different rooms, there are ways in which you can start to build a routine from the first step. And once that is pretty much nailed, add a second step. But it's something that a lot of us struggle with. I don't brush my teeth twice a day. Sometimes I don't brush it at all. Sometimes that's because I forget, and sometimes it's because I can't be asked, and I just think, I can't be bothered to do it now. And it is shameful. Alex?
Yeah.
And that's the key, what you just said, James. Yes, routine matters, but also sometimes, even if the routine's there, we don't have the reason in it, whether it's ADHD or autism or something else. For all of those things, I would explore why, and that's individual. So ask yourself, okay, why now? And if you haven't done it 5 times this week, there could be 5 different reasons, and that's okay. So start to note down what those reasons are. So, for example, it might be that you haven't got a routine, you forget. It might be that showering before you go out to work or something and washing your hair just doesn't have the reward in your head. And if it's the routine, then it just needs, it's hard, but it requires pragmatic, realistic time set in. So I will do it at this time then if it's routine. If it isn't, which it often isn't, if it's more, my brain doesn't see the reward even though I want to do it, then it's a case of asking yourself, how will I feel? How will I feel when I have clean hair in front of those people? And using those sorts of rewards to do it, and maybe add a double bubble or let's say, listen to a bit of a podcast you like. It's all right to stick your laptop up or your phone with the TV on by the shower. You don't have to do what other people do. If you do want, let's say, clean hair is a good example. Like, they used to call me grease ball at school. I hated it so much. I was so ashamed, and I just couldn't seem to. I didn't know why, but I couldn't get the reward to do it at the time. And I used negative rewards. So they won't call me grease ball. They won't. Rather than they will look and I will look nice. And that would have worked better. It works better now. Sorry, long answer, but really great question. Thank you.
Can I gently tweak what you said, Alex? Just gently.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Just in terms of kind of ADHD is that sometimes adding a specific time to an event, if you don't hit that time, can then be a problem. So sometimes a sequence is better, because if it's I'll do this at 7:30 and then at 7:30 it doesn't get done for whatever reason, you oversleep or something else happens. Great. Then that can absolutely scramble that order out. So sometimes having a sequence, which will be done vaguely in a time period, can be pragmatic. Sam?
Yeah, and one, because it says, are there strategies or tips to remind me what to do? The one thing I want to say is, and I've spoken about this before, so sorry that I'm going over it, but I really struggle with paralysis because I can't remember what I have to do, even though I do the same things every morning. I can't remember all the things that I have to do and what order I'm supposed to do them in, and that can totally paralyze me. And if I don't do them in the right order, it throws me out. So I actually have a physical list. I know it's really dull and boring, but it's in my bathroom, so that when I get up in the morning, instead of lying there in bed thinking, what am I supposed to do first and what order, I just get up and I look at the list, and it says, brush your teeth, so I'll brush my teeth, and then it says have a shower, and I wash myself in the same order every day in the shower. And if I forget that I've done a bit, I have to start the order again. And so I have it written down exactly what I need to do, because if I forget a step of that, I'm completely lost. But also reminds me of what I need to do, because sometimes I forget that I haven't had a shower if I don't look at the list. Sometimes I forget, and I'll get into work and think I haven't washed or brushed my teeth or put deodorant on, and I think. So for me, and this won't work for everybody, but I have to have a list of what I've got to do in the morning, and that reminds me what to do.
It's really good.
So I was gonna raise this at some point, but clearly Sam has, and I think from all three of us it's clear that this is the thing. My order of washing stuff is kind of armpit, chest, thatch and crack, but sometimes when I get to a bit of that, I'll think, hang on, did I do did I do one of those bits? And then I
know, and then you have to start again. Sometimes I think I must wash myself 83 times, but I'm not aware. It just starts to get a bit sore, and I think, have I don't know. There's certain parts of my body I probably shouldn't overwash.
Interestingly, many people in France and Germany have seen that list, Sam, because it was on that documentary you did about ADHD with James.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because I loved it at the time. I was going to screen grab it and show people. Excellent.
Yeah.
Right, that was really great.
Oh, sorry. Obviously, it became almost invisible almost immediately. But I know it's always there. Carry on.
Rainbow and Tracy.
Yes.
We'll be back in part 3 for thoughts on this week's themed podcast. Sam, anything to add?
No.
Alex, hi.
What's up?
Welcome back to episode 138 of the ADHD Adults podcast. This is the Friday episode after the Monday's episode about ADHD and insomnia. James, what made you choose this for a theme?
That was almost perfect. I often say perfection. I often say perfection doesn't exist for perfectionist people, but that was really good. Well done. Insomnia. I mean, for a start, not sleeping, because I went through a period about a month ago where I wasn't sleeping. I got 4 nights out of 14, and just it made everything worse. And there's a lovely paper that we talk about by Sandra Coy that says that insomnia is worse for your day-to-day functioning than all ADHD symptoms combined. And I fucking agree, because if I haven't slept, can't do anything. And it's interesting because we've been asked through the charity to look at the updated NICE guidelines for adult ADHD diagnosis and treatment. And one of the things that I think was sorely underrepresented was appropriate sleep training. It mentions sleep, but it doesn't talk about how guidance on getting better sleep should be given, because depending on which paper you read, 2/3, 80% of us have a sleep disorder or issues with sleep, and it's massive. So that was the idea for a theme. Sam.
Oh, yeah, shit, sorry. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I have no editorial rights in this podcast. Sorry, I forgot that was a thing that I used to do. Alex, what about you?
What were you going to say? You look like you were really panicking.
I was just going to say, I don't have anything to do with this. I don't write it. James writes the script.
Amazing.
Alex, you.
Right. One of the things I'm asked most about as an ADHD coach from clients is insomnia, and that's why it's such a good theme, I think, for an ADHD podcast. And people often report that ADHD is a sleep disorder, which it isn't. But it's one of the single best things you can do as treatment for ADHD is to support your own sleep hygiene. It isn't. I still have strong ADHD, even though I've got my sleep. Okay, what is it? What is it, Brown?
No, in my head, I thought, well, that and not have ADHD. What?
Yeah, but that's not one thing. That's
one of the best things you can do for yourself is just not have ADHD. And then my brain thought, what? Why did you just? Yeah, one of my brains thought, why would you say that? That's not. I was just laughing at my other brain. Sorry.
What a strange thing to say, Alex, to not have ADHD. There isn't a cure. To get support for sleep problems but that's a huge issue. Of course, it is. Sam.
What? Oh, tips.
Well, see.
Oh, what?
Yes, tips.
Oh, sorry. Was there any thought or theme? No. Was there any tip, thought or tip from the theme that you forgot to say, James?
I think we should be nicer to her. She's so obviously ill.
I know she is. The original plan when she was ill was to put one of her hairdressing heads in front of the camera and to pretend that it was actually taking part. We should have. So this comes back to routine with sleep, because there are so many different reasons we don't sleep. There's the whole circadian rhythm being delayed for some of us. There's the fact that many of us have racing thoughts as we're trying to sleep. There's the fact that for some of us, that's our most aroused time. We're awake between kind of 7. Yep, thank you. I was waiting. And 2 in the morning. But if you want to have a better sleep kind of routine, start from the point of when you want to try and go to sleep, and then work backwards. So say realistically, if you're going to bed at 2, say midnight. And then say, that's when I want to be in bed, work backwards. And in the 3 hours before midnight, I need to make sure my phone's off, make sure I'm doing restful activities, make sure I'm not doing the things that prevent me from sleep, and try and work backwards from the point, a realistic and achievable point at which you would like to try and get to sleep. Alex?
I really like those tips. They're really good. So one thing is that there are multiple reasons why people struggle with sleep. So they think that if one thing helps, there's a tendency to think that you've cured it, but you haven't, and then it can cause anxiety that you've just got insomnia, this nebulous thing, and that's not necessarily the case. There could be several things. So your peaceful environment days is almost always one of them. But if you're also too hot, for example, that can also be a second one. And then so you've been peaceful, but you're too hot, and you might think, well, then the peaceful thing doesn't work, but it does. It's about looking for lots and lots of different triggers. And honestly, when I help people with sleep, everyone lies. Everyone. I don't know what it is about sleep hygiene, but when you ask people, they say, "Oh yeah, and don't look at the phone. I turn it off at 7:30." You can see when you check. They're definitely lying. Or they say, "Oh yeah, it's completely dark except for the light that's on, or the car, or I don't drink at all." Or, everyone lies. I don't know why. It's something weird about sleep. I think it's this shameful feeling of well, I've done the other 4, therefore I should be able to get to sleep. No, you need to do all the sleep hygiene things to get to sleep. I don't know why everyone lies. We just do.
Because we don't want to stop doing the things you're telling us.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're like, I've done that. And it still doesn't fucking work. Yeah. That doesn't work. I've tried that. Give me something that I don't need to stop doing these things that I like doing. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
They want you to say there's this new other thing that you don't have to stop doing any of those things. It's just this. That's why. So they're looking for another answer.
What was the drug you were addicted to, James, that you didn't want to admit to? Do you remember that? That was that, wasn't it?
Dihydrocodeine.
Oh yeah, he's addicted to it again now.
Yeah. Sam, do you have any tips, such as listen to James whenever James tells you something?
Oh, fucking here we go. Yeah, because last night he was saying, "Do you want to take a sleeping tablet tonight? Because you're not going to sleep." And I went, "I will sleep. I've been sleeping all day." And he went, "Yeah, exactly. So you're not going to sleep tonight?" And I went, "No, I will. I've had no problem sleeping while I've been ill. It's going to be totally fine." And then, of course, I got to bed and thought, at about midnight, I thought, "Oh, fucking hell, I'm not going to sleep." And he was right. And it's every single time, and I never listen to him. I don't really have tips for this, because I have tried all the sprays, bombs, lotions, pulse lotions, melatonin. I've got a fucking eye mask here that you play brown noise through, where I take all the stuff and I turn the screens off and I do all the fucking things and nothing fucking works for me. But I think that's just the way I am. I don't think I can ever change that.
Sam, what was it you told me this Monday night about what you do before you go to sleep? The game on your phone
I have
you
to
play.
play a game. Yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
So
I've tried not doing it.
And
So
then,
don't give me this. I still couldn't sleep. I have to, but the reason for this fucking game is, and it does work sometimes, I have to engage my brain enough to shut it up, because it won't fucking shut up. It's constant. So I have to have something to engage it enough to quieten it down. If it's too engaging, I'll play it all night. That's no good. If it's not engaging enough, my brain's still going, what about this? What about that? Have you thought about this? Remember when you were 3 years old and you said something to a 6-year-old? And he belittled you. All that shit is going through my head. So I need something to just occupy it enough. I've got to play a fucking game.
No, and I'm not criticizing you, and there's no shame, there's no blame, and there's no guilt in any of these things. What I would say to a client is what could replace that game that is still a game that doesn't have light coming out of it. And if the answer is nothing, these are the sorts of conversations we need to start to, or it's accept the insomnia.
Yeah, I did used to read, which is obviously better, even though it had a light. But I can't now. My brain won't let me since I started going through the perimenopause.
Yeah, which is another issue, which we didn't talk about in the sleep thing, that is another exacerbation.
That massively affected my sleep, actually.
Yeah. And a lot of women, I think, if not all, yeah.
Yeah, when I started HRT, that was the first time I'd actually been able to sleep since I was born. I mean, I did sleep, so that's a lie. But I was actually able to get some proper sleep when I went on HRT. Sorry, carry on.
So in summary, listen to James. Don't be a woman. Are they the tips?
Yeah,
that
don't
was
be a
episode
woman. Definitely don't be
of the ADHD Adults. It was the very first Friday extra edition of the ADHD Adults podcast in season 2. After Monday's episode on ADHD insomnia, if you like this nonsense and want to get involved, contact us using the forms on our podcast website, which is www.theadhdadult.uk. Clear. Goodbyes.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Trigger warning, klaxon, 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 big klaxon.